Okay, guys, so hey, welcome back to AA Brand New Life in the second half, or in episode 2 of Into Vegas, the early days of AA. And I just love that little chime I've got going on right there. But let's get into this video. Thanks for watching. Okay, everybody, so in the last episode, we talked about me moving to Las Vegas. I did not join AA in Las Vegas, and I drank. And I drank in Vegas, and things got worse. And they told me in Oregon that if I ever drank again, me being alcoholic, things would never get better. They would always get worse. And I wasn't sure that I bought into that because I never experienced stopping for any considerable amount of time, starting again. I just could never imagine I would start again. Like, it was nothing they could tell me that would make me believe that I wasn't cured, you know? So with all the confidence I had and every bit of 8 years of sobriety I had, I moved lock, stock, and barrel into Vegas, and I did not get reconnected in Vegas, and all of the problems associated with the disease of the mind, you know, all of the defects, all of the problems, and came rushing back in. I became a victim again. I was very bitter. Nothing I did would work. And all I could think about was how I threw my whole life away from Oregon into Vegas. And I was not lined up right with anything. Times were really hard. There was a lot of problems. And that resulted in us leaving Las Vegas right after the Y2K. And I drank gingerly, I thought, all the way across from Las Vegas to Georgia, where we were going to move to Georgia to be by her mother. I had basically burnt every bridge in Las Vegas, and it had become a situation where it was no longer safe for me to be there, and for personal reasons, and it was time to go. The drinking had gotten that out of control in Las Vegas, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that I had went and gone further. I really hadn't gone further because my life before Alcoholics Anonymous was pretty treacherous and pretty horrible. It wasn't really a very safe life that I had, and I was pretty unsuccessful at everything before I moved to Oregon. And so right after Oregon, I moved to Vegas. It's pretty dang unsuccessful again, except now I got a bunch of kids. And so the decision was made to move to Georgia, and I, you know, the hopeful romantic that I am, I'm thinking, well, Georgia, the South, you know, Mayberry. You know, the Andy Griffith Show. I'd never been in the South. Didn't know what to expect, being on the West Coast my whole life. And so we moved to the South. I drank all the way across the United States. I remember being in Flagstaff, Arizona, the northern part of Arizona. Cold as crap. Icicles hanging off the building, and I'm in the bathroom with my wife trying to convince her, while my kids are all asleep in the bedroom. We had to sneak into the bathroom. I think she had marijuana. But I was trying to convince my wife that the drinking for me was going to be okay. And so we sat in that bathroom and, you know, I drank. And in the morning we haul butt. And finally we pull into Las Vegas. We pull into Georgia. And it was full tilt. Not one AA meeting in Georgia. I didn't even consider AA in Georgia. I not only didn't do AA in Georgia, I drank myself out of every job I could have. Wound up in a house with no electricity, no water, had to pull my juvenile children out of the grade school down the street for fear that the state would find out they were living in unacceptable conditions at the home and take them from me. And so we sold everything we had on the front lawn. After a short time in Georgia, went to jail twice in Georgia. Marijuana possession. All kinds of crazy shit happened in Georgia. Basically wound up, you know, those weekly hotels that they're dives, and you pay weekly to have a room. Well, that's pretty much where I took my family because I could stay in a house I hadn't paid rent on, had no running water, no electricity, and had broken every law, and had a horrible crack habit. I started smoking crack in Georgia, a wonderful drug called crack, and the drinking was totally out of control. And so it was probably Christmas 2001, maybe. I'm guessing. We got to get out of Georgia. You know, cannot stay in a weekly. I got no money, no job, no nothing. And so we make the decision to go back to Vegas. And I call up a friend of mine out there who I still had. And he said that the company I was working for would hire me back. Now I'm going back to Vegas, the horrible Vegas place, you know, the place we ran across the states from. Now we're going back. You know, everything's going to be great in Vegas. The guy is going to hire me back, and my wife had got some drywall experience in Georgia because, like, I couldn't make any money all by myself, so she joined in and got a little drywall experience. Just total craziness. But the decision was before we could go to Vegas, we needed a couple weeks before we could get a place to stay because that's the way it was. So we decided to go to Panama City, Florida, where my brother and my mother had left. They had left Oregon, and they went down to Panama City, Florida. So we decided to come down here, you know, hey, we're coming to visit. It was in a white van. I'd put everything that I had left after selling everything in a little storage shed. And I loaded up a van with a bass guitar, because after all, I'm a rock star, and all my kids and a cat. And just enough clothes to keep us, you know, just enough stuff to keep. We'll only be there for a little while anyway. And we're going to go back to Georgia, get our stuff, and you know the plans that we make. It is amazing how I was really good at, I don't want to say managing, but putting a lot of effort into figuring out the debacles. You know, I never looked at me being the problem. I always looked at just another debacle. So I got really good at like triage on problems. Like, oh, it's a shit show. I can manage a shit show really good. You know, I'm the guy. You know, things are falling apart. Oh, I'm good at this. You know, never. It's insane, man. You know, just another debacle. I'm really good at handling this shit show. You know, nuts. And, you know, the wife's smoking pot and drinking whenever I drink, kind of, but not really drink her. Just smoking the pot and smoking a little crack, and it's a little crack, you know. You know what I mean? Been there, you know what I'm talking about. Hey, man, let's smoke some crack, everybody. Yeah, dude, you know this thing is good. Awesome, right? Awesome way to spend the day. What a good investment. Sick, man, sick. I don't know what to do. And so, yeah, we moved to Georgia. That's terrible. And we decided to come to Panama City, Florida for Christmas 2001, stay a couple weeks. I get here and I see that I can live here. I see that I can make a living here. So we're living in my brother's little teeny apartment, which is connected to my mom's apartment. And there's like 7 of us in his apartment because of his daughter, his wife, me, my kids, and my wife. We're in the living room and stuff. And, you know, my brother tells me, dude, you can't be doing this down here. You can't come down here and act all effed up. You know, we've all had an effed up life and we're all trying to get it straightened out. So you can't come down and bring all this. And so I went over to a material company because I always brought my drywall pouches to work. Everywhere I went, I could work. And I actually got a job Christmas Eve, and I went to work here. And that's when I realized that I could make a living here. And it's a beautiful place to live. If you've never seen the Gulf of Mexico and Panama City Beach, you really need to check it out. It is really, really, it's called the Emerald Coast, and it was amazing. For a guy like me, you know, I'd never seen anything like it. And so I decided we're going to move here. All of the efforts go into sending my wife with my brother to Georgia to empty out the storage shed, run out of Georgia, all kinds of stuff not paid, get out of there because we're going to regroup here. And I meet a guy and we start drinking with the company I'm working for, and I'm the foreman. They put me in charge, and I immediately start blackout drinking with this guy. And I'm going to his house, and my family's showing up at his house like, hey, my brother's an alcoholic. You don't understand. He's going in outside with an AK, you know, you'll not be coming to my house and threatening my guest. And I'm in the house like this. Yeah, leave me alone, you nosy bastards. And they're like, Jimmy, come outside, man. This guy's like, I'll shoot you. My brother's like, you stupid bastard. And it was a shit show. You know, and then I leave his house and get in the Cadillac with my mom and my brother and my wife. And I'm like convalescent. I'm like just old. You know, I'm only like 34. Man, man, I'm sick. I was sick, but I just didn't know how sick I really was. And the last time I drank in 2001, I blacked out, and I don't think I'd been in Panama City a month. And I literally came to on Panama City Beach, had no idea where I was. I'm serious, no idea. Little flashbacks of the day before where I had gotten some money and we were at the Wendy's and I'm arguing with my wife about wanting to drink. And finally she said, "Get out, you bastard." And I managed to get enough alcohol in me that I wound up on the beach. I guess I don't know. I guess I wanted to get away from everybody. And every time I stood up, I'd face plant in the sand. Pow! Remember, I'd get up and I'd go, wham! And I don't know how much time went by, but finally I gathered up enough to where I could walk. And I was walking down Front Beach Road in Panama City Beach, and a guy in front of a tattoo shop said, "Dude, come here and sit down, man. You need to eat." I guess, I was vomity and, and no shame. And he sat me down and he went over to this little McDonald's there on Panama City Beach. I don't know if it's still there or not, but he bought me a couple hamburgers and he literally fed me. And then once I sat there a minute and I got to where he was like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "All right, man." And I asked him where Gardenia was. He pointed that way and I took off walking. And the nighttime went to day. And I walked into that little house on Gardenia, and my entire family, my wife and all my kids, were sitting in a chair, like in a little bench in the corner of the house, like this. Like just looking at me. It's like I literally came to, and they're all looking at me. And yeah, I'd had it. I'd hit another bottom. And I mean, I'm the only money maker. Nobody's making money but me. It's another great idea shot down. And so I thought, I've got to do something here, man. And so I went to AA. I told him I'm going back to AA, which was the only resemblance of anything good I'd ever had in Oregon. And so I left Oregon in 1998, and I got back into AA in 2002 or 1, around in there, at a place called the Yana Club down here in Panama City. And it was smoking back then. This is where AA gets interesting. You could smoke in the meeting still down here. And we were, there was all kinds of people smoking and talking. And it was an old mechanic shop somebody donated to AA. And it had some outcropping, built little houses that like a halfway house, you could stay there, when you got out of rehabs and stuff. And I liked it, And then I found another meeting called the Kaya Club, which was a little more fancy. It was an office building, not some old dilapidated. It wasn't even dilapidated, the little gas station. It was just a gas station building, built in the 40s or 50s. And Kaya, come as you are. And Yana was, you are not alone. Yana, then Kaya. And I went into Kaya, and it was a little cleaner meeting, ceiling tiles were fresh, the carpet was blue, that AstroTurf, had like the office chairs sitting around the plastic tables, whereas the Yana Club was like greasy old concrete, and an old office front where they used to take, pay your ticket in the front with the zip machine still up there, and good old AA, I'm telling you that shit right now, good coffee. But I got my first sponsor down here, was assigned to me by a big New Yorker guy, who kept saying to me, "You got to sponsor, you got to sponsor, you got to sponsor." And I hated that guy. "Hey, you got you as a sponsor." And I'm like, I didn't even want to go in there because I'd see him and I'd be like, Jesus Christ, there's that freaking guy, man. And as soon as I walked in, he'd go, "Hey, you got you as a sponsor, you're going to die." He'd get up his jaw lot. I was like, oh my God. And he was a big, bald-headed guy, smoked a cigar. "You fucking monkeys, get inside and shut up." We're all like, "Oh." And characters in AA, man, you gotta experience it, right? And so that starts my event on round number 2 in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm going to go ahead and stop right here because these videos, I don't want them too long. They lose their potency and you lose people's attention. And I love to talk about recovery. So at this point, though, in 2001, when I stumble into the Kaya Club and the Yana Club, I am as serious can be. Right? I'm appointed a sponsor named Mike. He's got 1 year, just celebrated a year, and he loved whiskey from Georgia. And I'll get into what it was he taught me on the next episode. It was, man, I had no idea that AA could be so much horrible shit. Anyway, hey, you guys stay positive. Don't drink no matter what. Call your sponsor. Stay with your network of guys or gals. Don't get off alone. No isolating. Isolating's a killer. Our heads lie to us. We'll believe what the crap our head is telling us if we get away from our group or away from AA for too long, man. And read Upon Awakening every time you wake up in the morning. I just figured that out like 3 months ago. And Upon Awakening in the AA Big Book. Check it out. It's on page 86, I believe. Let me look on my app here. I don't want to tell you guys wrong and be that guy. Let me look here. I've got what is called, let me do this for my phone too. I'm on the do not disturb, so my phone's black and white because I'm supposed to be in bed. Let me see what I got here. Let me see this. Okay, bear with me here, guys. I'm making a point. It's a good one. I got a purpose here. What is my purpose? So listen, I'm going to back out of this. Okay, look. Right there, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm going to let the camera focus on it. My God. The camera's only focusing on my face. You'll see everything AA. Let me move out of the way. That is so crazy. Anyway, it's everything AA. It's you might know it. It's right there. See it? It's a triangle, and everything AA has all the big book and all this awesome literature. But in the big book, it says, read the big book, the 12 and 12. It's got all of this stuff you can read. It's got, you put your sobriety date up here too. And it'll count your sobriety. And so in the big book, everything AA, it is in the chapter. Sorry, I went to the 12 and 12. It is in the chapter of Into Action. All right, you go to Into Action in your Everything AA app, and I think you go to page 86, which is where I'm going to cruise up to. Let's do this together and see. Hang with me here. 85, 86. Yes. On page 86, you're going to see When We Retire at Night. All right? And actually, after that is Upon Awakening. And you should read Upon Awakening. Upon Awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. This is key. Under these conditions of which we just asked God to remove self, we can employ our mental faculties. We can go out and use our brain with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. All right, we're going back to those instincts. Our thought life, what we think out in the world now, will be placed on a much higher plane when we're thinking is cleared of wrong motives. So I read that every morning. So you guys read that. And yeah, I'll see you next time on the next video when we get into the Florida AA. All right, guys. See ya.